YouTube, Ink Jobber here. Today we're going to do a video about my long distance bike. This is it. This is somewhat how it's set up when I long distance travel. And we're going to go down here and do just a walk around the bike. My long distance bike. It is a 2009 Honda ST1300. It has 68,300 plus miles on it, and I couldn't imagine much a better bike to have. It's comfortable, it's plenty fast, plenty of luggage, and probably comfort is probably the biggest thing for me, and as should be on any long distance bike. I have my CB right here, and I use that mostly to talk to my riding buddy. He insists on using CB, so I kind of gave in and hooked that up so we could communicate. I personally like Bluetooth better. All his buddies seem to locally ride with CB. So, in the couple times I've been with them, you know, they were all using CB. So, I finally cracked, and like, well, I'll tell you what I really like about the CB, even if I'm not riding with them, and that is in traffic situations. You can listen to the truckers, talk to them, find out what's going on, and it's pretty neat. Oh, here's a nice parking lot. We'll pull in here. Oh, it's the wrong way. Guess it's a good thing it's not a school day. Definitely coming in the wrong way. Woo! Slipped. Alright, so this is right down the road from where I live. We're just going to get off the bike here and show you, like I said, my long distance bike. Alright, so this is it. 2009 Honda ST1300. A lot of people aren't familiar with the bike. ST stands for Sport Touring, which means it has the saddlebags, and it's fairly quick. I think 0 to 60 is 2.8 to 3.5 seconds, depending on which magazine you believe. We'll start here at the front, talking about the bike. What I've done is I replaced the headlights with a 65 watt bulb and a 70 watt bulb, and then I put a yellow balloon over this light to to kind of give some contrast and pick up some attention. These bottom lights here, 3600 lumen LEDs, and I run those all the time, whether I'm at night or during the day. I have a dimmer switch, so at night I can dim it back a little bit. These top lights are spotlights. The bottom ones are flood. The top ones are spot. They're, I believe, 1500 lumen lights. So at night, if I'm in a just any situation where I need a lot of light really quick, they're all hooked. All these lights are hooked to the high beam switch. So as soon as I hit it, they all go full blast, even if I have them dimmed down, which is pretty neat. To the side here, we have highway wings. Just put your feet up there and different position for the legs, which is really helpful. Anybody long distance riding knows that the knees are probably the first thing to go. I've added these crash bars right here to protect the bags in case of a tip over. One thing I've never done on this bike is tipped it over or laid it down. I don't know if you can see it, but the balls on the bottom, they're ram ball mounts, and I can mount cameras, or, well, it's pretty much for cameras down that low. I can hook up the GoPro and get some pretty neat views of the road, especially going through corners and whatnot. Here we got a, I believe it's a 45 liter top box, shad. I really like this box. I only put it on travel days now. I used to carry it around all the time, but I kind of like the look without it. I keep rags up in here so I can clean the windshield or my visor or the bike in general, whatever I need. I'm not on a trip, so who knows what's in here, but this is an extension mount for the ram ball, and this is a selfie stick. But what I did is I wired this thing up so I can charge batteries, cell phones, cameras, whatnot. I can just plug this in there, and then I have a cigarette plug on here, and I have 3 more here to have USB connectors in them. So currently I could charge 3 USB devices, well 4 actually, because there's another one there. And I'll usually lay this on top of, some whatever I have back here, or I can mount it back here, and keep it out of the way if I need to. But just laying it up on top of jackets or towels or whatever I have back here during the trip usually works good enough. Plenty of room back here. I love this box. The 2 saddlebags and the top box. It really gives me a lot of options when traveling. And then I usually carry a waterproof duffel bag right here, and just strap it to the handlebars. So what I do is I've got it to where I keep everything in the bags. Everything in the bags that I keep is things that I might use during the day, like a tire kit, air compressor, raincoat, whatever, in my bags. And then anything that I take in at night, clothes, chargers, they may be extra chargers, but I'll keep that stuff in my bag. So all I have to do is at night grab that bag and usually my tank bag, and I'm usually good to go inside. These bags do release. I can take them off and go in. What I found is when in the motel, I'm worried more about them scratching, on the floor, somebody kicking them or whatnot. So I just leave them on the bike, and it works really well for me. Down here is the power cord to power the top box, and I just ran it. I have a fuse block under the seat. I've run everything to. Everything's switched but one port. So when I turn the switch on, everything gets power. When it's off, no power except the one. Here I have just a ram ball mount. You can unscrew and screw on to practically anything that you want. I can mount it to road signs or guardrails or whatever for some passing views. Your CB antenna. So this looks like a mess, but I had my helmet and my GoPro charging as I was coming over here. I have a tank bag, and right now really the only thing that's in there is my water bladder. I just wrap the hose around the GPSs on off with the hose, and I just wrap it back around there, no big deal. I keep the Cena Connect for the CB, so I have the cable run to module, and then the push to talk button right over here to key up the CB, and then everything's Bluetooth from there to the helmet. I have the phone mount. Everything I use is pretty much RAM mount. I have the phone up in there, and here I have a power port, powerlet, so I can plug this into here. Then I have 2 more high voltage cigarette plugs. I'll pull that out so you can see it. I just got it velcroed in there, I believe. So here I can plug in my air compressor or anything. If I'm running down the road and I need some extra juice for phones or whatever, charging GoPro batteries, I can use these. I can lay it up in the bag or whatnot. But I always have plenty of power options. Charge the CB because I don't run it off the batteries, so I just plug it into the cigarette port. I might need to charge my helmet, might need to charge GoPro, might need to charge my cell phone, might need to charge GoPro batteries. The GPSs are wired directly, so I don't have to worry about that. But there's always something I need to charge. But this port always stays hot, so I can plug that in. The bike don't have to be on, and I can pump up the tires, or if I want to charge my helmet while I go eat or something, I can do that. And I have some more RAM mounts here, and all RAM mounts are interchangeable, so I can put this CB over here on this mount. I can take my phone and move it up here if I wanted to, or mount GoPros here, which I often do, and put it on a little tripod so I can turn it different angles, whatnot, which is pretty cool. I got 3 more RAM balls here. 2 are being used for the GPSs. I do have 2 GPSs. People often ask me why I have 2 GPSs. What I found is I might have the route programmed into one of them, but then I might want to look for a motel. And I might be like in town or something, make a lot of quick turns, and I might miss a turn if I'm looking for a motel. So I can do all that, or a place to eat or whatever on this other one. And I always keep my route programmed in. Now, that was the reason I bought 2. When we went to Alaska, one of these went out, so I had a backup. So that was pretty nice to have. We got the handlebars. These are Healy bars, so they have multiple adjustments. They sit a lot higher than the stock bars do. Stock bars kind of had you laid over, kind of not as bad as a crotch rocket, but more in that position where you were way leaned. And I didn't like that very well. So I invested in these bars. They're very expensive, but very well worth it. I think any bike I have in the future, this will be one of the first upgrades I do. This bar here can go any, just like that. And then these bars here, I can move this one in, move it out. I can move this one in, move it out. And this one, I don't know if you can see it, but this one is pulled closer to the body than this one is. That's just probably the way I sit on the bike. I like this one a lot closer to me. But you can push the bar forward and then rotate these back as well. These bars here will twist like so. I mean, they're just, if you can't get comfortable in those bars, you might as well sell your bike. More ram balls, the bottom one being utilized by the CB. You can put the GPS spot locator on here. I think I did that when I went to Alaska. Self-service, once you get up into the Yukon, is pretty non-existent. Powerlet port here. I mainly use that one for my heated gear. Plug my jacket into there, and my gloves into my jacket. So I just have the one cord that goes up here. The ram ball, of course, holding the phone. Have another powerlet port. I know it's hard to see. Another powerlet port here with a cigarette adapter on top of it. And then currently my headset and GoPro are plugged into that with a USB port. Here I have a voltage meter, so I can always see my volts. That's probably pretty much it. I did put goldwing pegs on it, which set them down like a ½ inch, but they're like this much wide. Or stock pegs are like this wide, and the goldwing pegs are like this wide. What that really does for you is it gives you a much wider footprint, and where that is the most beneficial is when you are standing. So when we were going up to Alaska, there were so many road constructions, and I'm not talking like half-mile road construction. I'm talking like 10, 20 miles of dirt, gravel, and mush. So I did a lot of standing on the bike. I couldn't have done that on the stock pegs. I am a member of the Iron Butt Association. I've done that ride, one certified ride from here to Kansas City. I've also done 2 uncertified rides, one from here to north of Kansas City. I can't remember the name of the town, which is about 1,100 miles. And then I did one from here to Houston, Texas. But I only needed one certification to be a member, so I didn't see any reason to have 3 certifications that basically said the same thing, 1,000 miles in 24 hours. So I opted not to certify those rides. The only other thing I can think of is I have the hyper lights. So when I hit my brakes, they flash. Just anything you can do to draw attention to the fact that you're slowing down is beneficial, in my opinion. You know, the lights up front are for being seen so people don't pull out in front of you. I've never really had a close call. I had a couple people pull out on me, but it was never that big a deal. Most people, if they start to go, they immediately stop. But this is it. This bike has been from South Carolina to South Dakota, over to California, down through Arizona, Texas, whatnot. And then that was about 8,000 miles in 2 weeks. And then we went to Alaska in 2013, and that was 11,000 miles in 3 weeks. And 4 of those days, we didn't even ride the bikes. We were in Alaska doing Alaska stuff. The wives flew in, and we rented a car for 4 days and had a good time. Yeah, that's it. I can't say enough about this bike, man. It's been trouble-free. It's never left me stranded. The biggest problem I've ever had is flat tire. I don't know what it is about flat tires, but I always seem to get one. But did not encounter one going to Alaska, which was nice. I did replace the rear tire in Alaska on my own because it was like at a Kawasaki shop or BMW shop, and they wouldn't do it for me. So I had to take the wheel off the bike, and they moved the tire and then gave it back to me. But no big deal. I took all the tools necessary. That's one more thing I do want to show you that I like to carry. In this side box, these side boxes really aren't good for a whole lot because they get so hot. You can take the panels off and then wrap it with heat shielding and stuff like that. I haven't chose to do that yet, so I keep tools in them. What I've done is I found this tennis ball holder, holds 3 tennis balls. Then I fill it full of tools. Pretty much anything I might need, anything that I'm capable of doing, I'll have a tool for it, and it sits perfect right there. It doesn't move, and but I always take a lot of tools with me. In fact, I've tried this new zip tie method on changing tires. So from now on, I'm going to take some zip ties with me and a bead breaker and tire lube, so I won't even have to pay anybody to change a tire if I need to. But usually I can just plug one. I use the mushroom plugs, and that's gotten me out of every situation I've been in so far. And usually, 10 minutes, I'm back on the road, if that. That's it. All I can think of. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you want to see a packing video or anything like that, or if any questions in general about long distance travel, and I'm not talking 200-mile days, unless it's multiple days. We don't really ride that like that. We typically ride 500 minimum, usually huge first days, 8,000-9,000 mile days for a couple days, just kind of get out west, because everything on the East Coast we've pretty much seen. So what we're always trying to do is get somewhere we haven't been, so we haul ass for a couple days. And even then, we're still 500-600 mile days, but we're stopping at museums, we're stopping to see this or that, or eat at different restaurants. We really have a good time on our road trips. That's kind of how we ride. This is my bike. I can't say enough about it. There's other bikes I enjoy. The FGAR 1300 is a great bike. I just personally don't like the styling. The BMW K1600 is a good bike. We don't have a dealership within 100 miles of me, and they're a lot more prone to need service, so that kind of concerns me a lot. Things I don't like about the bike, I wish it had ABS, number one. Number two, I wish it had cruise control. If it had those two things, I'd probably never even look at another bike. A built-in GPS would be nice, so I don't have to worry about people stealing these. These are kind of old. I've had them for a while, so I just lower the windshield, and usually, it kind of locks it in a little bit. It'd be a lot harder to get out. I used to take them off at night, and I don't do that anymore, because really, if somebody stole them, it's not that big a deal anymore. I need to get a new one. But that's it. Got any questions? Post them below. We'll be posting more videos later, based on what comments are, if there are any. I don't really know if there's an audience for long distance, but I'll answer any of your questions the best I can, tell you how I do things. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is the only way to do it. It's just the way that I do it, and that I have found it works for me. So, later on.